There's a study out of MIT that almost nobody talks about. Researchers found that when customers knew they were interacting with an AI, their willingness to share sensitive personal information dropped by 47%. Not because the AI gave wrong answers. The answers were often better. They dropped because trust, it turns out, is not a function of accuracy. It is a function of perceived humanity. And that single finding changes everything about which jobs are actually safe. Here is what I want you to walk away knowing. If your role sits at the intersection of high stakes and human relationship, you are in a stronger position than almost any headline suggests. Not because AI is not capable, but because capability and acceptability are two completely different things. And right now, in the roles that matter most, the gap between those two things is your career leverage. Let me be precise about what I mean by a customer trust role. I am not talking about customer service in the call center sense, where you reset passwords and read from scripts. AI owns that already. I am talking about the roles where someone hands you something fragile, a business decision they are afraid to get wrong, a financial situation they are embarrassed about, a health outcome they cannot fully understand, a legal problem that keeps them up at night. In those moments, what the customer needs is not just the right answer. They need to believe the right answer came from someone who understood what was at stake for them specifically. That is a different cognitive task than retrieval and synthesis. And it is one AI is structurally bad at, not because of processing power, but because of what trust actually requires. Trust requires skin in the game. When a human advisor tells you to do something, they are putting their reputation, their relationship, sometimes their license on the line. There is a cost to them if they are wrong in a way that is visible and social. AI has no reputation in that sense. It cannot lose your respect in a way that costs it anything. Customers feel that, even when they cannot articulate it. The relationship has no stakes on the other side, and humans are exquisitely sensitive to that asymmetry. Trust requires continuity of self. When you have worked with the same financial planner for 6 years, she remembers the conversation you had when you almost panic sold everything in 2020. She knows your actual risk tolerance, not the one on the form. She knows your spouse is more conservative than you are and that your eldest starts college in 2 years. AI can store all of that data. But there is a difference between a system that holds your history and a person who lived through it with you. Customers with high stakes know the difference. Trust requires the ability to be wrong in ways that matter. This sounds counterintuitive, but stay with me. A human advisor who made a bad call, owned it, and helped you recover from it has actually increased your trust more than one who was always right. Because you now know what happens when things go sideways. You have evidence that will stay in the room. AI does not create that kind of proof. It does not have a bad year you forgave it for. Now here is what nobody tells you about where this plays out in practice. The industries with the highest concentration of customer trust roles are not the ones being cautious about AI out of nostalgia. They are being cautious because their customers have given them direct, commercial feedback that they want humans in the room. Private wealth management firms have run the experiments. Healthcare systems have run the experiments. Law firms have watched clients walk when the relationship felt automated. This is not sentiment. This is churn data. A Capgemini survey found that 62% of consumers said they would switch to a competitor if their interactions became too AI-driven. In high-value verticals, that number climbs higher. These are not survey respondents being polite. These are customers describing what they actually do when the relationship fee is 5, 6, 7 figures a year. So what does this mean for how you position yourself right now before the pressure arrives? First, get precise about which parts of your current role are trust work versus transactional work. Every job has both. If you are a mortgage advisor, explaining loan options is increasingly automatable. Sitting with a first-generation homeowner who is terrified of making the wrong decision for their family, reading what they are not saying, and earning the moment where they actually commit. That is trust work. Know which bucket each of your daily tasks falls into. The transactional bucket is where you want AI working for you. The trust bucket is what you protect and deepen. Second, start building what I call a relationship ledger, not a LinkedIn network. An actual record of the high-stakes moments you have navigated with clients or customers. The conversation that saved someone from a bad decision. The time you caught something in the numbers that the system missed because you knew the client well enough to know something was off. These become your evidence base. Not for resume, but for your own clarity about the value you actually create. When your role comes under scrutiny, people with receipts survive. People with vague descriptions of soft skills do not. Third, and this is the move that separates the professionals who thrive in this shift from the ones who get flattened by it. Become the person who runs the AI. not the person the AI runs around. In a trust-critical role, you now have an enormous opportunity. AI can do the preparation work, the research synthesis, the draft analysis. You come in with that groundwork done and your full attention available for the human layer that the AI cannot reach. You are not less skilled because AI helped with the setup. You are more effective, and your clients feel the difference even if they cannot name it. Here is the concrete action for today. Take the next client interaction you have scheduled and deliberately map it before it happens. What does AI know about this situation? What does only you know? From relationship history, from reading tone and prior conversations, from knowing what this particular person actually fears versus what they say they fear. Write it down. 2 columns. That exercise alone starts to make visible the leverage you have that no model can replicate from a cold start. Let me close with this. The question is not whether AI is coming for white-collar work. The question is whether it is coming for your specific work, and on what timeline. Customer trust roles have a structural defense that most roles do not. Their customers are actively resisting their replacement, not out of technophobia, out of a rational calculation that when the stakes are high enough, they want someone with skin in the game on their side of the table. Your job is to be so clearly, demonstrably that person that the calculation is obvious, not to fight the technology, but to stand in the part of the work the technology genuinely cannot reach, and to do it better than you ever have because the technology is handling everything else. That is not a consolation prize. That is a position.